Okay, so in computer science, we have one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, and multi-dimensional arrays. But we will focus only on the one-dimensional arrays. So what is an array? So an array is a group of items that can be identified as similar because they are of the same nature. Okay, similar and they are of the same nature. So let's have these examples like group of characters, group of letters. So they are grouped together and they have the same nature. So character sila, letter sila. A deck of cards. Okay, so they have the same quality, they have the same nature, and a box of donuts. Okay, so donuts sila pero different flavor, but still they are donuts. Okay, in computer science, what is an array? An array in computer science is a series of elements of the same type placed in contiguous memory locations that can be individually referenced by adding an index to a unique identifier. So maybe it doesn't make any sense to you right now, but as we go along, do not worry, you will understand kung ano ba yung definition na sinasabi dito sa array. So it is a series of elements of the same type, okay, similar type, placed in contiguous memory locations. When we say contiguous memory locations, this talks about the placement of the memory or placement of the data inside your RAM. Okay, that can be individually referenced by adding an index to a unique identifier. Pag sinabi nating reference, ito yung way ng pagko-call natin, ito yung way ng pagre-retrieve natin, reference. Okay, ito yung pag-name natin sa kanila. Let's say for example, yung mga variables natin, we can reference our variable for student 1 as student 1, student 2 as student 2, student 3 as student 3. Ganun natin sila rin-reference, diba? We name them individually. But with arrays, we reference them by adding an index to a unique identifier. So array is just simply used to store a collection of data, of course with the same type. And then it is a collection of variables, the collection of variables of the same type. Let's say for example, a group of integers, a group of string, a group of characters, a group of double data type. In other words, arrays are just like containers that can store multiple data na merong same na data type. Okay? So let's say for example, yung int student 1, int student 2, int student 3, okay, isang array yan. And another box, let's say for example, car choice, car letter. So di ba yung analogy natin sa variables? It's like a box as well. Okay, box din siya. Kaya lang let's say for example, orange lang siya. So isa lang yung laman niya. It can hold only one value. So this box, let's say for example, can hold only one orange. It's a variable. Okay, but arrays are collection of variables of the same type. So ibig sabihin, possible tayong maglagay ng maraming variables dito with the same type. So that is the basic essence of an array. So imagine storing 50 numbers. Okay, instead of declaring individual variables such as num1, num2, and num3, hanggang num50, with arrays, we can declare one array variable such as num and use num index 0, num index 1, and num index 49 to represent individual values. Let's say for example, kanina sabi ko, di ba, we will code a program wherein meron tayong 50 na variables. So basically, or without the knowledge of arrays, we could actually code that using int num1 is equal to 0, num2 is equal to 0, comma, num3 is equal to 0, until num50 is equal to 0. That will give me a 50 box, a 50 variables na merong int data type. With arrays, hindi na natin kailangan mag-store ng 50 variables. So, ang gagawin lang natin is, the syntax for declaring arrays is this one. Data type, space, the array name, open and closing brackets. So, brackets yan. And then yung number of elements. Yung number of elements would represent kung ilang bang parang variables yung i-store natin kay array is equal to the initial values. Okay? And close with open and closing curly brackets or braces. And then, of course, semicolon. Okay, pang sabi natin, arrays are like variables, okay, with the same data type. So instead of doing this, we could actually do this. Okay, we could actually have an array to store these variables. Okay, ano ba yung syntax niya? The syntax again is data type followed by the array name. Okay, yung array name natin is an identifier. Kung natatandaan nyo pa yung first quarter, yung identifiers natin follow certain rules, okay, in naming your identifiers, like bawal yung numbers unahan, yung special characters dapat underscore lang, no any other special characters. Okay, yun yung mga rules natin. So sana natatandaan nyo pa sila. So it follows the same rule sa pag-name ng variables natin. So array name and then open and closing brackets. Tapos inside this one, we place the number of variables. So dito, di ba gumawa tayo ng 5 na variables? Dito, place natin dapat 5 para tayong gumagawa ng 5 na variables. Number of elements. Okay? And then, same thing with variables, possible din naman na hindi natin lalagyan ng initial values yung arrays natin. But what will happen? Again, if we will not include initial values, same thing na nangyayari sa mga variables. If we will not include an initial values to your variables, what will happen? The computer might add random numbers to your variables. Same thing kay array natin. Let's say, for example, we will have int. For this one, let's have, let's say, for example, num na lang ulit. Int num, and then yung open and closing brackets, and then 5, okay, and then semicolon. So this is like having int num1, int num2, int num3, int num1, comma num2, num3, num4, and num5, and then semicolon. Okay, so this is just declaring, but we could also declare and initialize at the same time. So kung variable yan, ang ginagawa natin, di ba, num1 is equal to 0, num2 is equal to 0. For example, kung 0 lahat yung initial value niya, di ba ganyan yung ginagawa natin? So we could actually declare and initialize. Same thing sa arrays, possible din natin siyang i-declare and initialize. Paano ba yung initialization ng initial values ni array? Int num with 5 elements, ibig sabihin parang meron tayong 5 na variables, is equal to open and closing curly brackets or yung braces natin. So kung initial values niya puro 0 lahat, okay, 0, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ganyan natin in-initialize yung mga variables. Ibig sabihin, the first element of the array will have a 0 value, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth element will have a 0 value. So kung hindi 0 yung initial value nila, let's say for example, this one is 20, this one is 33, this one is 50, and this one is 90. Okay? Sabihin natin 10 ito. So the first element will have yung first element ng array natin will have a 10 value, yung second element natin will have 20, the fourth element will have 50, and the last element, the fifth element, will have a 90 value. Okay, para siyang ganito, int num1 is equal to 10, okay, num2 is equal to 20, num3 is equal to 33, num4 is equal to 50, and then num5 is equal to 90. Okay? So, paano ba natin dinidisplay yung contents nito? Okay, paano natin i-display, let's say for example, yung num3. So we will have cout num3. Okay, so this will display 33 on your computer screen because we displayed cout num3, and num3 has an initial value of 33. Kaya na-display yung 33. Okay, so that is the value of num3. But how are we going to display the third value of your array num? Okay? Paano natin mag-display yung third value ni array num? In arrays, we reference the first element of the array as 0. Kasi 0 lagi yung start ng count ng computer, 0. And then this one is 1, this one is 2, okay? This one is 3, and this one is 4. Okay, so if we're going to display the third element of your array num, ang gagawin natin is cout num index 2. Laging -1 siya. So, ibig sabihin, kung third element yung ina-access natin, -1 siya. So, if we display this one, okay, it will display the third element of your num array, which is 33. Okay, 0, 1, 1, and 2. That will display 33. Okay, huwag kayong common misconception ng mga students. Nalilito sila dito. Kapag declaration and initialization, ibig sabihin nito, we are declaring and initializing 5 elements. Kapag naman ina-access natin siya, kapag rini-reference natin siya, okay, ibig sabihin, we are referencing the third element of your array here. Dito, ibig sabihin, we are storing 5 elements. Kapag meron siyang data type, okay, tandaan nyo to, kapag meron siyang data type, tapos merong number na ganito, ibig sabihin 5 elements yan. Kapag wala namang data type, okay, ibig sabihin we are accessing the third element of your array. Kasi yung ibang students, akala nila 2. Okay, parang iniisip nila yung dun sa declaration. No, we are referencing the third element of your array. Okay, so same thing. Sa variables natin, possible din tayong mag-reassign ng values. Let's say for example, si num3, gusto na natin maging 100. Okay, possible yan by having the variable name is equal to 100. So if we display cout num3, I'm just going to treat this as a comment para ito lang yung makita natin. So if we display cout num3, 33 will not be displayed. Instead, it will be changed into 100. Okay, kasi isang beses lang pwedeng palitan yung mga variables natin. So ganito yung way, di ba? Variable is equal to 100. Parang yung pagre-reset natin, di ba? Yung X natin, ginawa natin 0 doon sa magic number guessing game. Ganito yung format ng ginagawa natin. Now, how do we change now? How do we change or how do we reassign values sa arrays natin? Same thing. Okay, so kunwari gusto nating i-change yung third element. So that will be num index 2 tapos is equal to, let's say for example, 100. So if we display cout num index 2, what will happen? Semicolon. Okay, 33 will be removed from the computer's memory and then it will be changed by 100 because of this statement. Num index 2, we are accessing the third element. Okay, ibig sabihin nito, we are accessing the third element of our array. Tapos, anong laman daw niya? 100. 100 will be placed inside the num index 2 or the third element of your array. Ang basa dito is num index 5 or num sub 5, pero usually we call it index. Kasi index number ito. Num index 5 or num sub 5. Tapos, num index 2. This one pala is, this is an initialization and declaration. So, ang basa dito is, we will have a 5 elements of num array. Okay, hindi siya index. Nagiging index lang siya kapag nagre-reassign tayo or kapag kinocall natin siya. Okay, so let's say for example this one. This is num index 2. Ibig sabihin, we are accessing the third element of your num array. Tapos, ipi-place natin yung 100 dito sa loob ng num index 2 or the third element of your array. Dito naman, cout display num index 2. We are displaying the num array, the third element of your num array, index 2, num index 2. Okay, so let's continue our discussion. Again, the syntax is data type, array name, number of elements is equal to the initial values. So this one declares an array num of 5 elements. So int num with 5 elements, it's like having a 5 variables, semicolon. So this is just a declaration. So yung initialization niya, nandito, yung mga initial value. Di ba possible ito? Num index 0, we are accessing the first element is equal to 1. So yung first element will have the 1 value. Num index 1, yung second element niya will have a 2 value. Num index 2, yung third element niya will have a 3 value. Okay, so declaring and initializing. So let's say for example, char letters with 3 elements. Ibig sabihin para tayong merong tatlong variables. Okay, tatlong variables na letters. Ano yung laman nila? A, B, and C. Okay? Double sales with 5 elements. Para tayong merong sales na variable, na 5 na variables. Ano yung values nila? This is the first element, 1.5, 2.2, 3.1, 4.0, 5.2. Again, with the same data type dapat yung mga yan. Okay, and another example, int num with 6 elements, 1, 2, and 3. What now will happen? Diba 6 yung elements natin, pero yung naka-declare, ay naka-initialize na values ay 3 lang. So this will have 0, 1, and 2. What will happen to the rest of the elements? Okay, same thing sa mga variables. Kung wala yung mga naka-initialize dyan, this will treat, your computer will throw a random value that we call them garbage, okay, to your num array. So kapag in-access natin yung num index, let's say for example, num index 5, the 6th element, garbage yung makukuha natin. Okay? Garbage yung 4th element, 5th element, or 6th element. Usually, it depends din sa compiler. Usually, 0 yung ina-access niya. Okay, another example. Okay, so tingnan natin kung, let's say for example, we are accessing the third element, pero anong tawag dito? Wala tayong third element, for example. Kunwari, wala ito, So what will happen? If we display num index 2, the third element, okay, garbage o lilitaw, or depende sa compiler. So 0, maybe this one is the value that was thrown inside your num array. Okay, this is a garbage. Okay, what will happen naman if, let's say for example, wala tayong, walang element number dun sa initialization natin. If walang element, if walang number of elements, okay, yung naka-store dito, naka-initialize dito, it will follow the initial values. Kung ilan yung initial values natin. Ilan yung initial values natin dito? We have 2, di ba? So 1 and 2. Okay, 2 yung mga initial values natin. Ibig sabihin, it's like having a 2 number of elements here kung walang naka-display. Kasi minsan, hindi yung mga programmers hindi naglalagay dito, but they initialize. Okay? So kung ilan yung nakalagay dito, let's say for example, 3, 4, 5, ibig sabihin, we have a 5 elements for your num array. Okay? Meron tayong parang 5 elements for your num array. So if we display this one, num index, let's say for example 3, what will be displayed? 0, 1, 2, and 3, okay, it will display the fourth element, which is 90. Okay, so kahit na wala yung ano dito, yung number of elements, pero meron siyang initial value, okay, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ibig sabihin 5 yung nandito. Okay, wag kayong malito kinakount ko lang na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ito kasi kinakount ko kung ilan ba yung values dito. But if we're going to access this, it starts with 0. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Okay? What if naman walang laman? Okay, walang laman ito, walang laman din dito. What will happen to this one? Okay? Or will the code be executed? Okay, it will execute. Okay, kaya lang, what happened? 33, saan naggaling yung 33? Okay, hindi ito yon. Okay, this is a garbage. Okay, garbage ito kasi wala naman naka-store tapos wala din naka-initialize. So, ibig sabihin, garbage yung lilitaw sa computer screen. Wrap up muna natin yung discussion. Okay? A specific element in an array is accessed by what we call index. Okay, so index 0, index 1, index 2. Also, the subscript or the index number indicates the variable's position in the array is assigned by the computer when the array is created in internal memory. Okay, index or subscript, similar lang siya ng meaning. All arrays consist of contiguous memory locations. The lowest address corresponds to the first element and the highest address to the last element. Okay, you could notice, diniscuss ko yung variables kanina before we start arrays and inintroduce nating arrays. What do you think is the advantage of having arrays versus a variable? So, kung meron tayong arrays, kapag meron tayong arrays sa program natin, it will be faster execution, okay? Faster retrieving of data, okay? Kasi they are placed inside your computer's memory location contiguously. Okay, magkatabi sila, adjacent yung paglalagay ni compiler kay array. And then the first variable in a one-dimensional array is assigned a subscript of 0, the second a subscript of 1, and so on. We refer to each variable in an array by the array's name and the variable subscript, which is specified in a set of square brackets immediately following the array name. Okay, for example, in some array 4, okay, if we're going to display index 2, we are accessing the third element, 0, 1, 2. It will display 3 on the computer screen. So with that, thank you very much for your participation and for attending this synchronous session. Thank you very much, and please do not forget to stay hydrated. Thank you.